went to college in Utah at Brigham Young University. It's a Mormon university. I'm not Mormon. I'm a Baptist,
Okay.
and uh, went to college and got myself a degree in international relations. I think, excuse me, a degree in mass communications and a master's degree in international in political science and mass communications.
Hmm.
So I did a bachelor in international relations, a bachelor in mass communications, and a master's in mass communications with a minor in political science, all in 3 years
Well,
at BYU.
okay. So, what have you been doing? But before then, before I come to your activities you've been involved with, uh, when did you leave Liberia?
I left Liberia for college in 1973. My goal was to only be gone for about 10 years and graduate, build some experience, and come back to serve my country. Unfortunately, things happened here.
The
Which,
war.
yes, the war and the assassination of Talbot, which at the time he was president.
Hmm.
Uh, those things happened and kept a lot of us away. You remember that, right?
Hmm.
Therefore, I focused on my career in the United States and built upon it, and the rest is history. I'm still working today.
So,
I'm still the president and CEO of PBS Kansas.
okay. No, so since 1973, 73, is it your first time coming back home?
Oh no,
Okay.
no, hell no. I've been back about 7 times,
Okay.
seven, eight times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what have you been doing in the U.S.? Yes, I know you indicated you went there to go to school. You've been building on your career, but what have you been involved with in the U.S.?
Well, several things. My career has been number one, but I've been a Rotarian for about 25, 30 years. I have been involved with civic organizations. I have been running television and radio stations, six, by the way, six media stations I've run and worked at two commercial CBS stations in the United States. And that's taken a lot of time. You know, it's challenging. You know, when I applied for a job to be the president of a station in the U.S., there are some other 300 applicants from all over the country.
Surely.
And for me to have been selected was I was proud of the moment, pleased with it, and I decided then that I would do a good job for that company. And so I went all out to do the best job possible. And they got great results out of me. Um,
You,
I
you are making reference to the Kansas Public Television.
well, not only that, but I took over WPTI in Rockford, Illinois, my first job. And I built the station. I put it into operation and ran it. And at the end of my first 2 years of running it, I had a profit. Then I moved over to Redding, California, KIXE TV. Turned that around because it was in a former meat locker building. Uh, the viewership was low, and that got changed dramatically.
Okay.
Over time. Over time, over about 8 years. But in the beginning, for me, I'm in a hurry. I want to make the changes immediately, and I want to see results. You see, Sober, I'm results oriented.
Okay.
I'm a progressive leader. I like to get things done. I don't talk the talk and not walk the walk. I lead. I guide people, and we get great results. And so after Reading, I moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And Chattanooga was in the hole with $1 million in debt. I took that over, paid it off, brought in lots of money, trained the staff, and did a whole lot of things for that station, and left them with a beautiful facility that was 32,000 square feet. And then I got an offer to Kansas City, Missouri, and that was terrible. They were owing the bank $7.2 million. They were borrowing money from the bank every month
Hmm.
to meet payroll, to meet operational costs. And that's not good for any business, as you all
Sure.
know. Yes. I turned that around in my first year. Turned it around and really took off after that. And then I got a call to go to Utah, back to Utah, where I went to college. And I made the assumption that it was going to be wonderful because I went to school there. So I headed the whole statewide network. And I did that for 2 years and then went to PBS Kansas. There was a radio network in Utah, and I wanted to get my hands into radio a little bit because I thought radio, it is easy, easier than television, I must say. But I did that for 2 years and then moved back into television and went back to PBS Kansas.
Okay.
And they were almost out of business.
Hmm.
Owing some money to the bank, owing the state of Kansas some money. I don't know how that happened because the state doesn't own the station.
So how did you turn the narrative?
How did I turn it around? Through hard work, through strategic movements, through business sense of business and interaction, just doing what I consider to be right. You know, people ask me that question, not how you're going to do it, but you don't know anybody here when you come here. How are you going to turn the station around? That's the question I'm always asked. And you know what my answer is?
No.
Watch me work.
And you see the difference.
And
being
you see
made.
the difference.
I like that. Watch me work and you
Yeah.
see the difference being made.
That's right.
Now, are you involved with public relations?
I am the key figure of the company.
Okay.
I mean, I have a marketing team, I have a social media team, I have a sales team, a production team, an engineering team. I mean, all the teams. But I am the chief of all the teams. I'm a programming team. They do according to the goals and objectives that we have determined and the strategy and the approach that we want to use. That's how they go about the operation.
I ask the question because let's assume that an institution or a government wants you to do, some public relations. Are you also involved with that?
I can do anything in mass communications,
Okay.
marketing, public relations, et cetera, et cetera. They call me a turnaround CEO.
Okay.
Remember that, a turnaround CEO. So let me ask you, which country would not want a turnaround CEO?
I know that.
I mean, think about it. You know, I have a vision for Liberia. I have
We'll talk
Great
about
thoughts.
that. We'll
Yes.
talk about
We'll
your
talk
vision.
about that. Okay.
Because I know you got an interest here. But the thing is, I want to hear from you. Okay, you listen to the SMS rated on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia.
In a sense, but it makes you a sin. Worldwide.
Boy, I pray for me. Mama, pray for me. I'm in the jungle. I want to make money. Boy, I pray for me. Papa, pray for me. Oluwa, guide my footsteps in this journey. Boy, I pray for me. Pray, 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 pray,
Mommy,
pray,
come and drink water now. Drink water from my bed. Yes. Hold on, I have to do everything else. What to do?
You're listening to the SMS. We had to take this this break, this short musical break, to do something quickly. Now, let me ask Mr. Hawkstrom. I want you to tell us whether if there's any difference, because sometimes people do have confusion over that between the PR you do, and propaganda.
Well, I don't do propaganda. I do public relations for my company because I'm the face of the company. I'm the voice of the company. When you go to Wichita and turn on to PBS Kansas, you will see a lot of me in different spots espousing messages about the company. That's public relations. That's branding. And that's promoting. And they are factual. Propaganda is a mixture of facts and lies and twists and turns.
Okay.
And we don't want that. That's not what I deal with.
Okay.
But if I'm paid handsomely,
To do lies.
no, not to lie.
Okay.
No, I would not lie.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I can actually explain and help educate the public about certain things.
Without the twist.
Without the twist, yes. And without the lies.
Without deceptions at all.
Exactly.
Now, when you say if I'm paid handsomely, let's assume that a government or a country wants you to come in. That there are issues with the economy, and as a result, people are dissatisfied with the performance of the government. Maybe let's assume government is unable, or the institutions are unable to get all of the basic social services, and that's the public seem very uneasy about that. Can you do a PRO? Can you do without infusing that with propaganda?
Oh, yes. It's a matter of education, which is one of the key functions of broadcasting. This is the purpose of broadcasting, as you may know, is to educate, inform, and entertain while making money to help sustain the organization, the operation. And yes, that's no problem. I could promote any activity, any event, or I could help educate the public about things that are happening so that they could get a better understanding. You see, the media should be, well, how do I phrase this? The media should be hand in glove with the government. The government should be turning to the media in this country to help promote and educate the public. But it takes expertise to do it, expertise that would know how to go about this. And when I listen to some of our, quote, experts, they're far below experts, and they're guessing at what they're doing. So, yes, education, information, and the right kinds of information being put out to the public would be the great way to go about it. If I'm president of Liberia, the media will be my right hand to help me educate the public. There are so many ways to do this.
Educate the public on what?
Just about anything. Government issues, what the government is doing. I'm not saying turn the stations into a government arm, no. But these are commercial stations, so you have to pay them accordingly to run your messages, and the messages must be structured so that they would be effective and interpreted correctly, received and interpreted correctly, because communication is an art which requires skills. And if you don't have the skills to communicate and to keep the attention of the listener, you're defeating the purpose.
Okay, let's just let me announce this. Now come back to you. I want you to tell me about the role of a government spokesperson. Let's assume maybe the Minister of Information, because I want to hear more of that from you. Listening to the SMS rated on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia. This program is being carried on our social media platform as well. Now, you talk about a communicator. The government should be able to work with the media to to educate the media. I mean, for the media to educate the people on what the government is doing, about its program and all of that. But let me hear from you. What's the role, the actual role you think, based on your training and all of that, your educational level, what's the role of the Minister of Information, you think?
I've written about that. I wrote about that once several years ago. And I proposed that the role of the Minister of Information, the Ministry of Information, is to interpret the ideas, the goals and objectives of the Liberian government at the international level, on the international system, so that people can understand Liberia and work and be willing to work with Liberia even more effectively. It is not to interpret or become press secretary for the president. The president has a press secretary.
Okay.
That's his job, to give the twists and turns of what is going on at the executive level. But when those decisions are made, the minister or Ministry of Information is to then really, really have the world understand what is going on in Liberia. The world should understand that. And that's the purpose of that Ministry of Information.
So the Ministry of Information is not basically to write press releases for the president.
No. That's the press secretary's job. The Ministry of Information is to do press releases at the international level. It could be about the president, but not internally, not nationally, because that diminishes their authority and their credibility when people from the outside world find out if they're doing that internally, nationally, that's not good, because in my opinion, you have a role at the international level, and it would be nice to have a Minister of Information who is an expert in communications and has some knowledge of international relations.
Sure. Then.
Because that's the true role of that ministry.
Now, in trying to carry out the role you made reference to, and indicating that the Ministry of Information should be concerned about polishing the image of the government or the country internationally.
Yes.
Now, what should be the capacity of that ministry, if you were to just give us an idea?
Well, you should have first qualified people to do it. You should have a budget to do it. When I
A handsome budget or just any budget?
No, handsome budget.
Okay.
Because you see, when you're promoting a country, it takes money to pay the international media, not to pay the reporters. No, but if you like to construct some spots, 30-second spots, those things are expensive, especially if you want to run them in America.
Sure.
But in other countries, they may be cheaper, but you need a budget. You need to create that image for Liberia, a positive image, despite whatever anyone may say about the country. That's the role. Who is doing it? Nobody. The other day I was watching a program called Good Morning America. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And Robin, one of the hosts of that program, was in Accra, Ghana. Live television. Came from the United States the whole morning during the show. They were cutting in between she and the host in the studios in New York. Promoting Accra. Do you know that brought tears to my eyes? I said this should be something Liberia should be doing.
Promoting Accra on the international wire.
Yes, through the airwaves.
Okay.
I mean, it was ABC News, ABC, the network, promoting the cut to Robin in Accra, and she talked about the food And the people in Ghana think they have the best jollof rice. I said, no, you don't. But I mean, seriously, it brought tears to my eyes because I was so disappointed. I wondered, what is the connection between, no, I didn't wonder. I said, there's no real connection between Ghana and the United States. The connection is between Liberia and the United States. Why are we not doing something like this? Why are we not promoting our country? Why are we not encouraging tourists to come to Liberia? People from the United States go to Ghana, and that's their point of destination. They're buying homes over there. This is the country formed by freed slaves. We need to capitalize on that, and we're not.
Now, let me push you back on your lap now, Mr. Hockstrom. How are you ensuring that Liberia, the country where you come from, is reflected in your programming in the U.S.?
We are not reflecting Liberia in our programming because
Why?
the purpose of that, it takes a lot of money to do television. In order to truly reflect Liberia, we have to send people over. We have to send a team to do interviews, to do documentaries, to do stories. And frankly, we don't have that kind of money.
But you could sit in the U.S. in your studio and phone and call in maybe a spokesperson of the government, or maybe call in someone who has who is advised and knows about the culture of Liberia.
Yeah, but it takes money.
It takes money.
Of course.
So everything concerning foreign relations takes money.
Everything takes money. Yeah, money is the key to it all. In order to do a satellite connection, we have to pay for the satellite time.
Okay.
That's expensive. And we have to make sure that our host is fully prepared to do a good job. But I've seen some stuff in Liberia, I mean, in the United States, on my station, about Liberia. We do documentaries. The guy came, the travel guy, food expert, came to Liberia and had fufu and soup with the okra to the side.
Can you imagine that?
And he was enjoying it. He was traveling through West Africa, and he made a stop in Liberia. I've seen pictures of Liberian officials on our news,
Okay.
on the national news, the news hour. And I've seen other things. But in order to specifically focus
And do it regularly.
and do it regularly, it takes money.
It takes money. So, what is your interest now, Mr. Hockstrom?
Well,
I know in Liberia. What's your interest? What are you thinking about Liberia?
Well, you know, I know there's a presidential election next year. I am hoping that I can make some contribution, either one way or another, to someone who may have some interest.
And we'll have some money?
Well, I'm not looking for money. I
Okay.
mean, I've got enough of my own. You
Okay.
know. But I'm thinking about the possibility of 2029 to return to Liberia. See, I made the guy sit up and look at me. He said, "Oh, wow, you know, right? Yeah. I'm seriously. I have a vision for Liberia. I've gotten calls. As I said, there was a national article that came out about me in the United States, and other Liberians read it, and some of them called me and said to me, "Have you considered returning home to help lead our country?" And you know, Sober, when I was a child, at 7 years old, I stood at the corner of Mecklin and Ashman Streets with my mom holding my hand, and we were watching the floats. It was July 26th, and the parade with President Tubman. And I looked up to my mom and I said, I'll be president of Liberia one day.
Hmm.
I don't know where that came from, but I think it was divined. Also, in preparation for that day to come in the future, I hope, when I was going to college, I was at Providence Baptist Church on my last Sunday in Liberia, and I was telling a friend of mine I was leaving to become a civil engineer. I was accepted in the School of Engineering at Brigham Young University. The late Mrs. Emma Jane Collins, I don't know if you know her, but heard me tell my colleagues I was leaving to do engineering. This was on a Sunday, I was leaving on Wednesday. It was Pan American Airlines. And before I walked out of the church, she came chasing after me, tapped me on the shoulder, and said to me, "Would you come and see me in my office?" I said, "Where's your office?" And she told me. This woman was not a friend of my family. She was not a friend of mine. She was an older woman. I was just a kid. And I became curious. I'm always curious, to be honest with you. I went to visit her in her office the next day as we planned, and she said to me, "I heard you say you're going to become an engineer. You're leaving to become an engineer, and I just want to tell you that based on your work in Liberia, my work was I was General Secretary of the National Student Christian Council of Liberia. I was Director of Sports and Athletics at St. Teresa's Convent, and I worked for ELBC, this station, in the Ministry of Information building.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that for about a year and a half. I was one of your top play-by-play commentators
Okay.
for soccer and basketball, and did Sporting Magazine, and prepared the newscast for Jonathan Reffel and a few others. And when they didn't show up, I went and did it myself.
Okay. So you're a newscaster.
Yep, I worked in the news department and did sports.
Okay.
And so this lady said to me, based on your work and your activities, I've been observing you in the city. You look more cut out to be a leader and a diplomat. And so I said, well, okay, but I want to do engineering. And I left. Thanked her, and the first day of registration at BYU in Utah, I was walking toward the engineering building to get my first set of classes, and that whole conversation just hit me. I stopped, I paused, and I said, God sent that woman to me, and I better listen. And I changed my direction and went to the administration building, not even knowing they had degrees in international relations or political science or mass communications. I was focused on civil engineering. And those are the majors that I did: a bachelor in international relations, a bachelor in mass communications, a master's in mass communications with a minor in political science, focused to get those done, and I was able to do them all in 3 calendar years.
So you are thinking and planning, considering to be a politician in the future.
Yes, I've used my communication skills very effectively, and I think I can mix communications with politics, and and you can be assured.
Well, where do you
that-
want to start? Within the parliament or where?
I don't
Legislature
know
or
yet.
where?
God has it all in his hands.
Oh, you
I
don't
don't
know
yet.
yet.
No.
But I asked you earlier whether it's your first time coming back home. You said, well, you've been in, you came back to this, your 7th of 8th time coming back to Liberia. Do you understand the politics of the country? Are you following?
Do you know you can learn more about your country living abroad?
Be sure of that.
Yeah. I've learned a whole lot more about Liberia living in the United States. I mean, the information flow is so easy
Okay.
and so fast. I mean, it's like wow, anything that happens here, you find out in seconds. Yes, I do keep in touch. I do listen. I do pay
It's
attention.
good. It's good that you've been listening and been keeping in touch. And let me ask you now, because I'll be opening the lines later on so that the listeners can interact with you. What are you reading? What's your reading regarding 2023 next year elections? We have one who say a disjointed opposition. So we have the ruling coalition on one side. What are you reading so far?
I'm reading a lot of competition. People are working hard to become the next president. And Liberia needs to focus on that and determine what they want in the future, because you get what you buy, right? You get what you pay for. Don't be fooled. Don't be misled. Think, Liberia. Think and focus. That's all I can say about that, because I'm not on anybody's side. I'll work with anyone. I am a Liberian, a proud one, and I want to see my country progress. I am a progressive leader. I like measurable results.
But let me ask you about your own analysis concerning the opposition bloc and the coalition ahead of 2023.
What do you want to know?
Well, you do understand those who you said there are many people competing to want to be. Okay, I'll shortly take the sports. You're listening to the SMS rated on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia. I take the sports and then I come back to you. Okay, so it's about time I will bring you sports with the man Michael. Michael, good morning.
Listeners, please try as much as you can to hold Sober George in contempt. He has been responsible for not breaking the sports.
Michael.
No.
Discussions we held behind a closed door. You want to bring in
I'll put
in
you on
the view of the public?
No, I'll put you on the spot.
That you be held responsible, Michael. Okay, let's hear from you. What do you have in the world of sports?
Sober, good morning, folks and listeners. Welcome to The Passion. The management of Liberia's female football champions, FH, that's Determined Girls, is appealing to the chief patron of sports president, George Weah, to facilitate their travel to Morocco. Champion club side Determined Girls are expected to depart the country this Tuesday for the final round of the CAF Women's Champions League. The president of the club, Grace Weah, commonly known as LIB Queen, said they could miss out if funds are not made available by the government.
You leave Tuesday. It starts on the 30th. All the teams should be there 3 days before the tournament. Nigeria's and other countries, they are there right.
The first lady is chair on CAF Women Football. Ambassador, if you will. Have you been able to reach out to her?
I reached to her.
What did she say to you?
The madam and I had a conversation. We met at the Invisible Park. We had a conversation. Briefly, she told me to reach out to her assistant, which is a friend of mine. And then when I reached out, I got the email and I got all the information from the assistant. She said the madam wants to help, but because the team is on a profitable team where we sell players, she want to help team that I maybe just playing down, and I don't know. But they end up telling me that the team is a team where we make profit allowed to sell players. So unfortunately,
Do you make profit?
no, I gave
For the
out.
set of players?
No. I gave out.
Have you
one-
saw any player before?
I don't want to say I sent one player to Europe. She back now. She's supposed to be joining us, Paulino. She went for one season. So usually we know this is Liberia, and not to say anything bad about sports, but women football just started getting attention. So usually when they send for players from Liberia, they do a tryout for them.
Okay.
She tried out, of course, they gave us certain percentage, which, to be honest, the club didn't get any. She needed it, her family needed it. We decided to give it to her.
That's good.
So her one season finished, we asked for her RTC. She's back in the country. She should be going with us.
Tuesday, just more than 24 hours from now, if you will, Madam Queen.
Yeah.
Are you of the strong conviction that be it as it may, you will still go?
I'm going to go no matter what.
If it causes you to walk from here to where you want to go, you will go.
Yes, I mean, well, we are determined girls. We are survivor. You know, I'm just waiting for security, like I said, for the kind of attention we are getting from the government. Let me not talk about private sector. This is, like I said, this should be a national concern. If you look on CAF page or on their website, you're not going to see Determined Girls flag. They say Determined Girls and you see Liberia flag. So this should be like something where once we send out, I didn't ask them for cash. All I told them, if you can even just call the airline and book the ticket for 28 persons or for EV 20 persons or 15 persons.
It's okay with you.
I mean, if you can do a little, that would be much. But it have been, oh, we will see about this. Oh, we will get back to you. Oh, the check having cleared.
She is the president of Female Determined Football Club of Liberia, Grace. We are commonly known as LIB Queens. Let's bring you this county meet development very briefly. News coming from out of the Ministry of Youth and Sports has set December 17 as the official date for the kick-off of the National County Meet. According to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the country's biggest sporting festival opening ceremony will take place in the port city of Lower Buchanan in Grand Bassa County. This year's tournament is under the theme Liberia, a nation celebrating 200 years of existence, maintaining the peace through women's sports participation. And defending county meet football champions Nimba has reappointed Mota Sila, that's Mota Fofana, as their new coach of the football team. Coach Sila will be in charge of the team for the 2022-2023 league season of the National County Meet. The former RE coach was rewarded the job, having delivered Nima County their first county meet trophy following 11 years of trophy drought. They defeated Bapolo County 2-1 in the final at the SKD Sports Complex last season to take the trophy up to Mandimba. And so, that's it.
Many thanks, Michael. We did appreciate your time this morning.
You're most welcome.
Okay, so we continue with our discussion with our studio guest. Our guest here is Mr. Victor A. Hockstrom. Mr. Hockstrom is the president, the CEO of the Kansas Public. And now, I was asking you before I open the lines about your analysis regarding some key figures of the opposition bloc and the ruling coalition heads. What can you say about them?
Well, who are those key figures?
I'm sure you're quite aware of Joseph Imabok, the former vice president. You also heard about the president of the Republic of Liberia and Cummings as well, who's the ANC chair.
Well,
Alexander Cummings.
Right. I've heard about them and I've read their platforms, and I think they have great platforms. They have great intentions for the country.
All of them?
I think all of them do. But we have to look at who provides the best leadership. I think that's what is missing. That's what we need, I should say, right now in Liberia, leadership. And if we have that leadership, it will make a difference.
Okay, so let me open the lines quickly. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. That's the number to call, and you are live on the SMS this morning. 0880-514-096, or better still, 0776-540-987. You call any of those numbers, you are live on the SMS this morning. Again, 0880-514-096, or better still, 0776-540-987. My guest here is Mr. Victor Hockstrom. Let's take this first caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Okay, I see you from 4 years to be specific, district number 1, that is Overgande.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me appreciate the studio guest. It's a peaceful Liberian that we let. Not like the other people, they come, they want to be president. But you listen to the studio guest, peaceful. He's not Liberia. He said he come back 2029. Because he's looking at because we are trying to finish peacefully so that he can come in the sunset. So studio guest so much. This is Liberia. Liberian people, like thank you so much. Thank you.
Many thanks, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
This is G. Shediris, the head of the disability council for Sanokare.
Let's hear from you.
I want to appreciate our studio guest for the deliberations. He made measures. He is a progressive. I want to know that the issues of disabilities in Africa, yet Liberia, all the leaders from some people who come from diaspora, are there any plans to address the issues of disability to see how best to put on the international thing for the issues to be addressed as people with disabilities, as vulnerable, as more needed people, to see how best people can lead them to any organization, to the diaspora, to see research, to benefit for any training. Because those people from the physical circle to the disability circle, you are traumatized. There are any plan, can be planned for them to come in the country to de-traumatize our people with disabilities.
Okay. I'm sure you made it. You already asked the question. Let's take another call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Quickly.
Good morning to your guest. This is Matthew Delge. I'll call you from San County. Let me say thank you for his liberation. And I just want to ask him, he has plans of going as the second person to the first person, the past president of Kennedy. And if he has a plan of becoming president, is this coming 2023?
No, he didn't say 2023. And he didn't say the presidency anyway. He didn't say that.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
He has an ambition of becoming president.
He didn't say 2023. He didn't say 2023. Neither did he say the presidency.
Yes, that's why we're asking that it come from his director, sir.
No, but he said it already, so I don't want him to repeat what he said. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
From Banga. All right, I want to thank the studio guest for his liberation. He spoke well. And I know as he has spoken, he has a long-range plan, and he's willing at this time to contribute to the development of Nigeria, because I know from now to that time, he would have made a lot of significant progress in the development process of Nigeria. So I just want to thank him for everything, and give him hands up and kudos to him.
Okay. Many thanks. 0776 540 987. Better still 0880 514 096. That's the numbers to call. And you are live on the SMS. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I'm George Trocon. I'm from Riverside, and personally I'm visiting Monrovia to work after some NGO matters.
Okay, go right ahead quickly.
What interests me most is that this man speaks so strongly, and I listened to him on the Spoon radio last night, Spoon Talk, and he said that he can provide leadership to solve most of our problems. What I want to know is what can he do to solve the problem of food insecurity in this country?
Okay, many thanks.
Over the years, we have been trying to induce the government to get involved in helping farmers to do mechanized farming on commercial basis, and there's no response coming.
Okay, many thanks. You made your point already. Let's take this caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. George. Good
Yes,
morning.
sir. Yes, sir.
This is Samuel Kwa, and I call you from Vondia, Malafa County. I want to ask Mr. Houston, is it possible for his company to do business with the Free Pentecostal College, especially the mass communication aspect?
Okay. You respond to that. Let me take I'm sure, just a call, and then I'll go back to my studio guest, 0776 540 987, or better still, 0880 514 096. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, this is Samuel Sigwe calling from Luka County.
Let's hear from you.
Yeah, so let me say thank you to your studio guest, but based on his credentials with the mass communication aspect, I was thinking whether you was going to bring a help to the satellite TV sector of Liberia, taking into consideration ELPC, elevating it to a satellite TV level. I don't know what Larry has to say in that direction. Thank you.
Okay. Let me take this last caller. Good morning. Let's hear from you quickly. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Marcelo Gaza. I want to find out for you. At the time you decided to take on education, you decided to take on the civil engineer, but they don't want a man with that brother. Now you think about taking on different way. What company to be a president and what are the mindset to what is that person?
Many thanks. I don't think he did mention about presidency. No. Okay, let's go back to our studio guests quickly to respond. Let's hear from you.
Well, let me take the last question first. The mindset toward the Liberian people, I am all about Liberia. I like to see progress. I like to see people with jobs. I like to see every family happy if possible, and every family with food on the table. Just a happy society with employment higher, jobs, rice in the pot for people to eat. And I have thought about how we could even solve that rice problem if possible. So that's one. Now you have to remind me about the other questions. I forgot. I didn't make notes on them.
Yes, someone did ask us what sort of help you can give to to addressing the food insecurity.
Okay, food insecurity. Let's look at the rice shortage, for instance. I believe that the government should be the only one importing rice into this country. You have stability. You import the rice and sell them to the retailers at a reasonable price. The consumers buy the rice from the retailers at a set price that the retailers and the government will determine. And that way, people don't jack up the prices. And the government will be the one negotiating the prices of the price of rice from its distributors, wherever it comes from. Do you get the picture? And that way, we control the price of rice. We have plenty of rice in the country, while we help our farmers grow rice in Liberia, while we help agriculture and provide some equipment for the farmers to till the soil, because that's one of the toughest things in growing food, dealing with the soil, tilting the soil, and providing fertilizers and all the necessities that will help the crops grow and be enough to provide for the Liberian consumer.
Okay. Another question was that since that you have your backing, you have you originated from this country, a proud Liberian. You worked here at the Liberia Broadcast System before.
You got that right.
Fine.
Yep.
Someone was asking whether you had an intention making sure that the LBS capacity can be built to having a satellite facility.
Well, I'm happy that question was asked, because in 2013, when I visited Liberia, I came as this. I was here to speak also at Lot Carey's graduation. That's where I went to high school. And I met with then President Johnson Sirleaf. I was told that the folks at ELBC had informed her that it would take $108 million to convert ELBC TV to high definition. And I told her, I said, I can make sure that's done for far less. And so I went back to the States. I called my chief engineer into my office. We took the map of Liberia and we planned I was turning ELBC TV into a network, a national network, meaning that every county I was going to establish a station in each county, radio and television station, that will be owned by ELBC. In addition to that, ELBC feeding all of the national programs to those stations, and they put them out in the community. The transmission was going to be just perfect. It was all designed already. So satellite would not have been necessary. But we could also, if that were needed, we could have also uplinked to a satellite to put our services throughout the world or to other countries.
Okay.
So basically, that design was presented with the local stations having 2 hours of time each day to do local things in television and radio, featuring local arts and culture and education and teaching and all of the things that I talked about earlier. Therefore, that proposal was sent and the total cost was about 36 million from 108 million. And EOBC was going to be the star of Liberia. It was going to be bigger, better, and prosperous. And I was also going to teach people here how to go out and sell, to help make money for yourselves without 100% depending upon the government for support.
Okay. Now, so what's your parting comment quickly?
Well, to conclude that quick story, I didn't get a response from that proposal.
Okay.
Okay? So my parting comment here is, it's great to be back home. I love the Liberian people. I enjoy my visit every time I come, and I plan to come back some more.
Okay.
Often, not years apart anymore.
Okay.
And where do you get all this early morning energy?
I do this program almost 3 times a week.
Okay.
I wake up in the morning at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, getting set to come.
And you wake up broadcasting as soon as you wake up.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, he's Victor A. Hockstrom. He's the president and CEO of Kansas Public Television in the U.S. Well, that's it. Very shortly we'll play host 2, the Minister of Public Works.